What is the mysterious cold continent hiding from humanity? Pyramids of an ancient civilization, human elongated skulls, many dinosaur remains, an ancient citadel, and much more. Watch the video until the end, it will be interesting. Hi friend, you are on the KirTop channel. The deadliest place on the planet. American scientists from the University of Colorado and Brigham Young University in Utah have made an incredible discovery. They have discovered what is arguably the deadliest place on planet Earth. According to experts, an unexplained phenomenon was found in the ice of Antarctica. This is a site in the center of the Antarctic mountains. During the expedition, scientists initially wanted to analyze the composition of the soil on the Shackleton Glacier, which is located almost 500 kilometers from the South Pole. Surprisingly, of the 204 soil samples, approximately 20% showed no signs of life. Dead soil samples were collected in the highest and driest places of the glacier. These samples not only did not contain any microbes, they did not even have traces of microbial DNA. Scientists initially thought it was due to some mistake, but repeated analyses have shown that there really is absolutely no sign of life in these soil samples. Burned forest. This discovery expands knowledge of the occurrence of forest fires in the Cretaceous, showing that such episodes were more frequent than previously thought. According to a study by an international group of scientists, 75 million years ago, Antarctica was engulfed in forest fires. Experts came to this conclusion after finding fossilized plants with traces of charcoal dating back to the time when dinosaurs still roamed the Earth. The once dense forests on James Ross Island were burned down during the Upper Cretaceous, the second section of the Cretaceous system dating from 100 to 66 million years ago. According to experts, the main reason for this event could be volcanic activity caused by tectonic processes. James Ross Island is a volcanic island located near the western end of the Antarctic Peninsula. The charcoal fragments are believed to be burned out gymnosperms, a group of plants that includes conifers, cycads, ginkgo, and oppressive trees. The Cretaceous forest fires were a global event that swept through almost every continent, but new research by scientists shows that these fires reached as far south as Antarctica. Millions of years ago, Antarctica was the real forest paradise. It had a lot of blooming vegetation, but the volcanoes turned this paradise into uninhabitable hell. It should be noted that the fossilized samples were analyzed under a stereo microscope, an optical microscope that works on the principle of light reflected from the object under study. With its help, scientists were able to look deep inside the fossilized plants and find evidence that the samples were charred. Lake under 4 kilometers of ice. One of the largest geographical discoveries of the 20th century is the subglacial Lake Vostok, which was discovered in Antarctica. The most amazing thing about this find is that it was hidden under a layer of ice 4 kilometers thick. Scientists believe that the lake was cut off from the outside world by a glacier for several million years. The dimensions of Vostok are striking. The total area of the lake is about 16,000 square kilometers, and the depth can reach 1,200 meters. Most likely, it remains unfrozen due to underground geothermal sources. Drilling the well was a difficult and lengthy process. It began in 1989, was suspended in 1999 due to fears of contaminating the unique ecosystem, and returned to it only in 2006 to be completed in 2013. Since 2015, the active stage of studying the lake has begun. In a water sample, scientists discovered microorganisms, one of which is of an unknown species. But these were samples from the surface. The most interesting will begin when they can get samples from the bottom, where, according to assumptions, the water is heated by thermal springs and is suitable for life. Perhaps scientists will soon be able to find unprecedented types of creatures. Who knows how evolution developed in the closed ecosystem of the Vostok. Evidence of a large meteorite falling. Melted particles of extraterrestrial matter collected by scientists in East Antarctica indicate that about 430,000 years ago, a large meteorite or asteroid fell here, which did not leave a crater behind because it turned into a stream of molten material on its approach to Earth. Nevertheless, the strength of this impact event, according to the author's estimates, was higher than that from the fall of the Tunguska meteorite. An international group of geologists and planetary scientists led by Dr. Matthias van Ginneken of the University of Kent School of Physical Sciences in the UK has discovered evidence in the Serundane Mountains region that 430,000 years ago, a powerful impact event occurred here. The fall of an asteroid or a large meteorite sizes from 100 to 150 meters. Scientists have found tiny particles, condensation spherules ranging in size from 100 to 300 micrometers, which formed when a meteorite, just short of reaching the ground, exploded near the surface, releasing a jet of molten and vaporized material. Experts attribute such events to the transitional type, which occupies an intermediate position between the explosions of extraterrestrial bodies in the atmosphere and impact events, as a result of which meteorite craters are formed. Despite the fact that, according to scientists, large air explosions occur much more often than impacts of meteorites that form craters, and some of these events were powerful enough, it is very difficult to record them in the geological record, since all that remains of them is these are the smallest fused particles of extraterrestrial matter. To identify and study 17 black spherical particles found near the top of Velnam Gel in the Serundane Mountains, the authors used modern methods of microscopy and laser analysis. It turned out that by their composition, the spherules collected by the researchers belong to chondrites, and the ratio of trace elements and a high content of nickel confirms their primary extraterrestrial nature. However, the unique isotopic signatures of oxygen indicate that the particles interacted with the Antarctic ice sheet as they fell. By means of numerical simulations, scientists have proved that this was a larger event in scale than the fall of the Tunguska meteorite in 1908 or the Chelyabinsk meteorite in 2013. Ancient civilization pyramids. These structures, according to the researchers, are man-made. They were built in those ancient times when instead of snow and ice, the jungle raged on the continent. The pyramidal structures discovered by scientists in Antarctica are called man-made. Researchers are confident that this continent was not always a frozen continent, and once it served as a habitat for an unknown ancient civilization. The facilities were built at a time when Antarctica was covered with rainforests. No one doubts that the pyramids found in the eternal ice are the work of the Homo sapiens. After all, the objects are built with the highest accuracy, so there can be no question of any natural origin. Outwardly, the Antarctic pyramids resemble their famous Egyptian counterparts. Creature unknown to science. New Zealand scientists have discovered something interesting in the waters of Antarctica. So during the expedition on the ship RV Tangaroa, scientists caught a previously unknown jelly-like creature off the coast of Antarctica. The researchers conducted a real raid off the coast of the mainland and carried out the capture of marine life. In particular, the mesh ladder was lowered 3,500 kilometers inland off the coast of Antarctica. What they caught surprised everyone. The main find was dirt. Only after passing 12 buckets of mud through a sieve, scientists discovered this creature, a transparent jelly-like fish. As the head of the expedition, Dr. Andrew Stewart said, "It is not known what kind of creature it is. Now scientists will determine the parameters of this inhabitant of Antarctica. First of all, the vertebrae, in order to determine what kind of species it is in general, and so the new fish resembles a sea cucumber." The polar explorers also installed a deep-sea camera to the ladder to inspect the bottom. The members of the expedition said that at such a depth, the bottom looks deserted, like the surface of an uninhabited planet. Human elongated skulls. Scientists are wondering if they belong to aliens. A group of archaeologists from the Smithsonian Institution have discovered 3 elongated human skulls in the La Pale region, Antarctica. Prior to this, it was believed that the continent had never been visited by humans until the modern era. Experts said the previously elongated skulls were found in Peru and Egypt, which suggests that ancient civilizations were in contact with each other long before the time it was written in the history books. It shows that there was contact thousands of years ago between civilizations in Africa, South America, and Antarctica. The shape of the elongated skulls is believed to have resulted from deliberate deformation. The baby's head, when the skull was still unsteady, was tightly wrapped with cloth. This characteristic was used to confer distinction on the upper classes of society over the lower ones. Children of the elite in many ancient cultures were subjected to the procedure. However, some researchers question whether artificial skull deformation can change not only the shape of the skull, but also increase its volume. The sensational find has many other physical characteristics that significantly distinguish these skulls from normal human ones. As a result, scientists are now struggling with the question whether these skulls are human or belong to some other kind of humanoid. Huge deposits of dinosaur bones. During the Antarctic expedition, a team of scientists from Australia, the United States, and South Africa discovered more than a ton of fossils and dinosaur remains up to 71 million years old. Steve Salisbury, a scientist from the University of Queensland, told ABC News about the unique discovery. Together with colleagues from other scientific institutions of the world, he worked on the James Ross and Viga Islands in Antarctica. These islands are among the few places in the region where snow is minimal in summer. At the same time, rocks trace their history back to the time of the dinosaurs. The first dinosaur remains found in Antarctica were found on James Ross Island. The discovery was made by archaeologists from Argentina in 1986. Research carried out by specialists in 2006 was also crowned with success, but in both cases, it was about single samples of fossils. As part of the new expedition, which took place in February and March 2016, scientists slowly moved through the territory of the islands, carefully studying each stone. Every day they covered about 10 kilometers. The result was unprecedentedly rich catch. In total, more than a ton of dinosaur remains were found. Some of them are 71 million years old. The fossils were taken to Chile and then shipped to the Carnegie Museum of Natural History in Pennsylvania for further study. Scientists have warned that it will take years to classify all the species found. It is already known that among the finds are the remains of Plesiosaurus and Mesosaurus, sea lizards known from the Hollywood film about the Jurassic period, as well as various birds, including ducks, that lived at the end of the Cretaceous period. Ancient citadel. The structure is hidden under a huge layer of ice, but scientists have discerned the remains of ancient walls in it. Explorers of the Shackleton Ridge in Antarctica stumble upon an unexpected find. Strange objects resembling ancient buildings. They resemble the walls of a fortress in their outlines. It is generally known that Lazarev and Bellingshausen were the first to reach Antarctica in 1820, but these are representatives of our modern civilization. Could it be that Antarctica was mastered by those who lived on Earth before us? It is believed that the remains of an ancient pyramid, such as those built in Egypt and South America, were captured in the frame. Another version, more prosaic, is really the remains of a citadel, which was built by some ancient civilization. An unknown people could have explored Antarctica at a time when it was not yet completely covered with snow. Map of Antarctica 1513. This map, made by the Turkish Admiral Piri Reis in 1513 on a piece of gazelle skin, is considered one of the first geographical maps that accurately depicts the coast of South and North America. But the most amazing thing is that the outlines of Antarctica appear on it, which in those days was never even heard of. This is understandable. The map was compiled just 21 years after the epoch-making journey of Columbus. By the way, Antarctica is not shown on the map entirely, but is connected with South America. This fact makes geographers doubt that by these lands the author meant the white continent, and pseudoscientists to build fantastic theories. For example, that the map was drawn on the basis of mysterious ancient sources found in the days when a glacier lay between Antarctica and South America. However, in this case, the land should have been covered with snow as well, which does not follow from the map drawing. The mainland ice sheet itself was formed several million years ago, and Homo sapiens as a species appeared according to various estimates from 200,000 to 40,000 years ago. In general, while some are looking for traces of ancient civilizations on the map of Piri Reis, others consider the drawing to be a common mistake of a cartographer or the embodiment of fantasies about the existence of hypothetical southern lands, ideas about which arose long before Piri Reis. How else would such carts appear with sea monsters on them? Centenary whiskey and brandy. The waters of the seas and oceans hide many secrets and mysteries of which have accumulated enough over the long era of Homo sapiens. That is why they attract the attention of many treasure hunters and underwater archaeologists from all over the world. The most unexplored areas of the world's oceans are Arctic waters, where an expedition from the Antarctic Heritage Fund recently made an amazing find. An unusual find of the researchers turned out to be 5 boxes of strong alcohol, which had been frozen in the ice for more than 100 years, as suggested by the researchers who discovered them while studying the coastline. The whiskey was previously owned by British Arctic explorer Ernst Shackleton, who left it there on an expedition. Due to a shortage of food in 1909, the researcher and the team had to urgently leave the camp before the winter ice bound the sea. As the foundation said, several of the boxes have been damaged by time and are difficult to remove. 3 boxes contain old Mackinlay's whiskey, 2 others contain brandy bottles. After removing the boxes from under the ice, the researchers found that several bottles were broken, but alcohol was splashing in others. After the seizure of the boxes, the producers of alcohol, White and Mackay, became interested in its contents, who called the find a gift from heaven, since the recipe for making this whiskey has long been lost. According to company representatives, if they have this whiskey in their hands, they will be able to reproduce this ancient recipe, and whiskey connoisseurs will be able to taste the true taste of the history of the last century. Write in the comments which discovery in Antarctica surprised you the most. Leave a kind comment, which helps a lot in the development of the channel. Thanks for your views. Bye everyone!